Welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy with Eating Healthy, Spinning Less. In today's video, we're doing something a little different. I'm just going to do a voiceover and share with you what I do every single week to prep. I don't do the typical prepping of meals because I work from home. So I'm home and I can just make the meals for each day. But there are certain things that I do need to have made because we eat them every single week. If you are not a part of the Eating Healthy, Spinning Less community, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now and like this video, as I hope to inspire you to get in the kitchen and make those foods that your family enjoys on a weekly basis. For those of you that don't know, my husband has a gluten intolerance. He has gluten from time to time, and every time he does, he gets an immediate stuffy nose and a stomach ache. And it just becomes a really big problem throughout our day. We learned that he can tolerate sourdough bread, which has just been an absolute miracle for him and has opened up his world to be able to enjoy regular bread again. So through the sourdough fermentation process, the gluten is broken down, and it makes it so much easier for our bodies to digest the gluten, especially if you have a sensitivity to it. So now I am on a mission to make sourdough bread for my family every single week, and I have learned to really enjoy the process. When I first learned how to make sourdough bread, I was making it the old-fashioned way where you have it on the counter and you are stretching and folding your dough several times throughout the day. It's a long, lengthy process. But I'm going to show you in this video how easy I have created this new recipe, and anyone can make this bread. I mean, absolutely anyone. I actually ran out of flour the night before and had to substitute some oat flour into this recipe, and it turned out beautifully. But I did run over to the store this morning and was able to get another 20-pound bag of flour. We're going to have to bulk that flour and make more bread, which I'm excited to show you in today's video. But first, before we can move on to more bread, I need to start prepping my next ingredient, which is yogurt. I am dairy-free, so I make a dairy-free yogurt every week, and we go through about 1 gallon of yogurt. There are 6 of us, just to keep that in mind. In order to make a good, high-quality, dairy-free yogurt, you need to use a high-protein milk. Soy milk is the best option, but sometimes I want the yogurt to taste a little bit different, so I will use this high-protein, silk, dairy-free milk. It's very inexpensive and only about $4 for a half gallon at Walmart. While the milk is starting to heat up, I'm going to take my sourdoughs out of their silicone molds. I love doing this method of cooking my sourdough in the molds. It just makes it so much easier. And now we're going to feed my starter so that tonight I can make more bread and show that to you. To bulk the starter, you're just going to add more flour and more water than you typically would to your starter. So to have enough starter for tonight, I am adding 300 grams of flour and 300 grams of water to my starter. After mixing the ingredients, I just put a light linen napkin over the top and I place it on a pot holder to keep it nice and warm. And now I can forget about that and worry about the starter later tonight. Again, while the milk is still heating up, because it does take a while, I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee and tidy up my kitchen. Every few minutes, you do want to stir the milk just to keep the heat evenly distributed throughout the pot. Let me know how you make your coffee in the comments. I've really enjoyed making mine in my French press again. Do you use a pour over, a Keurig, a simple coffee pot? I have a newfound love for my French press again, and I love the coffee that it makes me every morning. We're We're waiting for the temperature to come up to 180 degrees. And once it does come up to temperature, we're going to remove it from the stove and let it cool. We want the temperature to come down to about 110 degrees. And once it does, we're ready to add our yogurt starter to the milk. While we wait, it's time to get started on our next ingredient, and that's beans. I always have cooked beans in the refrigerator to make an easy lunch, and this week we're going to prep our chickpeas. So it's important to rinse them and then let them soak in water for a good 6 to 8 hours. Every day my husband takes the same lunch to school with him. He's a teacher, and he finds it easier to just not have to think about lunch but to just eat the same thing. So he takes a peanut butter and honey sourdough sandwich for lunch, and he takes fruit salad. He loves his fruit salad, and it's so funny that the students comment on his fruit salad on a daily basis. But I try to change it up every week for him, and this week I decided to buy some cantaloupe, grapes, and some blueberries to go in his fruit salad. We also have an orange tree in the backyard, and so every week I add oranges to the fruit salad as well. I know this video may seem a little sporadic to you, but I have to work within my windows of when things are cooling down or ready to be baked. So my milk is finally cooled down to 110 degrees, so I'm having to pause the fruit salad and add in my yogurt. So I have 1 cup of milk in a bowl, and I'm adding in my yogurt. This is yogurt that I made last week, and I always reserve about 7 tablespoons of the yogurt for my next batch. Whisk the two together and then add it right back into your milk mixture. I'm using a 6-quart Instant Pot, and I'm adding that yogurt mixture to it. This is my favorite method for making yogurt. I love that I can just pour it in the Instant Pot and walk away. So 10 hours and it will be ready. We're back to the fruit salad, and something that I wanted to share was I always have a base ingredient for my fruit salad. This week it happens to be cantaloupe, but typically it's apples. I will just slice up an apple and then I will add my toppings to it. That's kind of how I think of fruit salad, having a base and then adding toppings. You want that bulky ingredient that's really going to make that fruit salad substantial. I hate wasting the citrus peels and just throwing them away, so I'll typically put them in a mason jar and add vinegar to it. I add vinegar to every single load of laundry that I do, and it's a great fabric softener, and the orange scent really makes the laundry smell great. I'll just put this in a cabinet in my laundry room and let it sit for about a week, and then I'll start using it in my loads of laundry. I find the grapes to be more well received by my family if I take them off the vine, so I just put them in a glass container and have those in the fridge for an easy snack. Well, we just got home from church and it's time for me to get those chickpeas cooking. They take no time at all, so I just drain them and rinse them and add them to my 8-quart Instant Pot, and I'm going to cook them for just 10 minutes. They are so quick and easy to cook. My starter is also ready. I'm so glad because I'm not only just going to make 2 more loaves of bread for the week, I'm also going to make bagels. So my husband and 2 girls, oldest girls, are going to a church winter camp over the weekend, and I want to make sure that my husband has bread for him to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner in case they don't have some foods that he can eat. And I thought bagels would be the perfect food for him. Right now you're seeing me make my basic sourdough bread recipe, which is on my website, but when I make it in my KitchenAid, I always add an extra 100 grams of flour to the mix. It just makes it so much better, and the bread comes together with no work from you. So you're just going to use your dough hook and let this process for a couple of minutes until you have a smooth, beautiful dough. The best part about this recipe is that when it's done, you do absolutely nothing to the dough. You're just going to place it in whatever bowl you want it to sit in all night and add plastic wrap over the top. That's it. There is absolutely no stretch and folds that you will do to this bread. You will not even need it at all. Before we go to bed, I'm going to make the sourdough bagel recipe. I'm not going to show you exactly how I add all the ingredients to the bowl, but I do follow the recipe and I absolutely love this one. So I'll definitely link it for you below if you'd like to also print out this bagel recipe. They turn out perfect every single time. And again, no kneading and folding, no stretch and folds. Now I'm just going to place my bowls on pot holders to keep them warm and tuck them in with lots of dish towels. And finally, my yogurt is done, and you know it's done when it pulls away from the sides. I'm too tired to mess with it tonight, so I'm just going to put some plastic wrap over the top and pop it in the refrigerator, and tomorrow I will deal with it. It's the next morning and it's time to make bagels. I love making these bagels. Another great recipe is pretzels, which is a very similar method where you boil the dough before baking it. But these bagels are just absolutely amazing and our favorite sourdough treat. This recipe makes 16 bagels, which is perfect for our family of 6. And so I'm just going to break the dough apart into 16 pieces. I like to weigh each piece of dough just to make sure that they are equal in size. And I noticed that this bread dough, I didn't let it rise all the way up to the top of the bowl. So instead of 120 grams, I'm shooting for 115, which ended up working out perfectly. Typically in bagel recipes, you want to put your thumb in the center of the dough and make this really big hole. I'm actually not doing that. I'm making the holes really small. I want them to still be bagels, of course, but I want my husband to be able to make a sandwich out of them if he needs to while he's at camp, and I don't want this big hole to be in the center. We're going to let the bagels rest for 1 hour, and while they do that, I'm going to put my yogurt in its proper container. I love using these 64-ounce glass mason jars because it's more vertical and they take up less space in the refrigerator. So I'm adding my yogurt to my mason jar, which then I realized I forgot to set some aside. So I'm putting aside 7 tablespoons of yogurt for my next batch whenever I'm ready to make yogurt. I'm keeping my yogurt plain, and I do this for 2 reasons. Number 1, I just really like plain yogurt, and number 2, I like to use it in sweet recipes and savory recipes, like for salad dressings, which I shared last week on my channel. But I love it so much for breakfast. I will make a breakfast bowl pretty much every morning with yogurt and fruit, nuts, and honey. I just want to show you that you can make amazingly large sourdough loaves of bread without the stretching and folding or kneading. Look how perfectly these turned out. While the sourdough bread cools, I'm going to start boiling my bagels. In this large Dutch oven, I'm able to boil about 4 bagels at a time. You want to boil them top side down for 1 minute, Flip them over and then let them cook for 1 more minute before taking them out with a slotted spoon or spatula. Once you get all of your bagels boiled, you can get really creative with the toppings. I know a lot of people like to put shredded cheese with pickled jalapenos on top. You could also do a cinnamon brown sugar mixture on top, or of course the famous everything but the bagel seasoning. I like to just sprinkle a little bit of salt to keep them more versatile. These are ready to go into the oven. They're going to bake at 425 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then they are all done. The last thing on the list to do is to get my beans in a proper container. They did sit in the refrigerator all night last night after they were done in the Instant Pot. Now, the key is to keep these in liquid. I have done this before where I've put them in the jar with no liquid and they're just not as good. They really do preserve better in the refrigerator when they have liquid in them. So that's what I do, and they turn out perfectly. These chickpeas will keep for at least 5 to 6 days in the refrigerator, and I love adding them to any salad that I create for lunch. I try to eat at least 1 cup a day of beans. Beans are so high in protein and filled with vitamins and minerals that are so essential for good health. I hope that you enjoyed this different style of a video here on YouTube. If you did, would you let me know in the comments so that I know if you'd like to see more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love making YouTube videos all about handcrafted recipes using fresh ingredients in everyday living. And don't forget, this girl is on a budget. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.